Have you ever sat alone in the quiet of the night, long after the world has gone to sleep, and felt that familiar ache in your chest, that gnawing feeling of being adrift, of trying so hard to steer your own ship, only to find yourself constantly pulled off course? We tell ourselves we want to change, to be better, to finally take control of our habits, our emotions, our very lives. We make grand promises to ourselves in the morning light, fueled by a surge of hope and determination. But then, as the day unfolds, or perhaps when the evening shadows lengthen, that resolve begins to fray. We find ourselves reaching for the very thing we swore off, delaying the task we promised to tackle, or speaking words we instantly regret. And in that moment, a deep sense of frustration washes over us, often followed by shame. Why can't I just control myself? We whisper into the silence. What is wrong with me? Am I simply lacking willpower, or am I fundamentally broken? This cycle of resolve and relapse, of wanting to be one way and acting another, leaves us feeling exhausted, defeated, and profoundly disconnected from the person we truly aspire to be. It's as if an invisible force within us has a mind of its own, constantly sabotaging our best intentions, pulling us into patterns we desperately want to break free from. We label it a lack of self-control, and then we judge ourselves harshly for it, deepening the very wound that fuels our struggle. But what if the common understanding of self-control is profoundly mistaken? What if this constant struggle isn't a battle against weakness, but a misunderstanding of a much deeper, more intricate process within us? Imagine a small child crying out in the middle of the night. You could, in theory, tell the child to simply stop crying, to exert self-control. But wouldn't your first instinct be to ask, what's wrong? Are you hungry? Are you scared? Do you need comfort? We wouldn't dismiss their cries as a failure of self-control. We would see them as a signal, a communication of an unmet need. What if our own struggles with self-control are not so different? What if the urges we fight, the habits we regret, the impulses that seem to overpower us, are not signs of our brokenness, but rather the cries of an unacknowledged part of ourselves? For so long, we've been taught to exert willpower, to white-knuckle our way through temptation, to suppress anything that deviates from our conscious desire. We treat our inner world like a battlefield, with our conscious mind trying to dominate and silence the unruly part. We try to force ourselves into compliance, to be the person society expects, or the person our logical mind deems optimal. But this approach often creates an internal civil war. The more we try to suppress a genuine inner signal, be it for rest, for comfort, for connection, for release of pent-up emotion, the louder it will eventually become. It manifests as a craving, an urge, an outburst, a deep procrastination. It's not a lack of control. It's a desperate attempt by our deeper self to be heard, to have a need met that we've been ignoring or denying. The late-night snack isn't just about food. It might be about loneliness, stress, or the need for a moment of indulgence after a day of relentless self-deprivation. The urge to procrastinate isn't always laziness. It might be fear, overwhelm, or a need for a different kind of creative flow. This is the heart of the struggle. We are fighting symptoms, not causes. And by doing so, we intensify the very internal conflict we desperately seek to resolve. The path to true self-mastery, then, is not through forceful suppression, but through gentle inquiry. It begins by pausing in that moment of struggle, not with judgment, but with curiosity. When you feel that pull towards an old habit, or that resistance against a new one, instead of immediately fighting it, try simply observing it. Where does this feeling come from? What is it trying to tell me? Is it seeking comfort, escape, validation, excitement, or peace? What deeper need is hiding beneath this surface urge? This is where inner healing truly begins. It's about listening to the quiet whispers of our soul, the messages that have been drowned out by the noise of external expectations and our own harsh self-criticism. It's about recognizing that every part of us, even the parts we deem flawed, has a purpose, a reason for being there. They are not enemies to be vanquished, but allies seeking understanding. When we approach ourselves with this kind of radical acceptance and compassion, the internal battle begins to soften. We move from a state of constant war to one of gentle diplomacy. We start to understand that true self-control isn't about rigid discipline, but about profound self-awareness and self-care. It's about choosing to respond to our needs with wisdom and kindness, rather than reacting blindly from a place of unconscious drives or external pressure. It's about creating a harmonious inner environment where all parts of us feel seen, heard, and valued. When our deeper needs are consistently met with compassion, the frantic urges diminish. The need for external control lessens because we are already in a state of inner alignment. We begin to make choices not out of deprivation or fear, but out of a deep understanding of what truly nourishes our soul and brings us closer to our authentic self. The struggle then transforms from a tiresome fight against ourselves into a quiet journey of homecoming, a gentle reintegration of our fragmented parts, leading us to a profound and lasting inner peace.